Want to talk about much smaller school in college football. Not on many people's radar, but at America's Finest Sports, San Diego based. We got to talk. We got to give some love to San Diego State. So, in terms of San Diego State, you look at the Mountain West. I think there's a clear team that's probably going to come away with being the champions in the Mountain West. But for San Diego State, do they have a chance to let's say do they have a chance to play in that championship game?
If they were in the other division, probably, but because of the division they're in, definitely not. I mean, it's so tough because I think you guys only returned 3 starters on the offensive side of the ball
Yep.
total, and if you guys return Johnson at quarterback, Lucas Johnson, who ultimately transferred to Montana and is going to be the starting quarterback there, and probably is going to have them competing for an FCS national title. We'll leave that there, but that's a guy who went 8-1 as a starter last year. Had an outstanding end of the year for you guys. If he comes back, potentially, but when you look at, man, I think we all know who the favorite is Fresno State, and everything they return, even a year, I don't like to call it year one for Tedford because he's been there before, so I don't think he's like a typical first year head coach. I mean, he's been on the sidelines in Fresno multiple times, and so the fact that he was able to convince some of those top players to come back and not go to Washington with DeBoer, I think that speaks volumes about that culture of that program. But for San Diego State, I think they're going to be good. I can see them being second. If they were in the other division, I think they could compete with the Boise State and everything like that. But man, to be in Fresno State's division, I give them maybe like a 5% chance, man. I think Fresno State's got this thing locked up.
Yeah, I agree. That Fresno State team's going to be very tough with Hainer and was it Kruper, that connection back in full force. But
he's disgusting.
dude,
Top 5 wide receiver in college football. I don't care. He plays at the group of 5 level. That dude is different.
flies. And if Hainer could stay healthy too, because that was really the only thing that stopped him last year. But yeah, no, I think, but yeah, Boise State really feels like the only other team to talk about. You could talk about Air Force. They've been really good. They keep bringing back starters. I think they bring back 15 starters from last year's team. So yeah, they're probably going to be competitive. They're probably going to be an 8 to 9 win team. But yeah, San Diego State, man, having to overcome like losing so much of your offense. Now they bring in the transfer from Virginia Tech. That shouldn't be that encouraging. So I mean, really, the thing for this team has been defense. So I don't know how well that'll do when you have to match up against like a Fresno State team or even a Boise State. Like they're in their second year under Coach Andy, so like I expect that to be a lot better. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you guys brought up San Diego State lost a lot. Last year they had a lot of talent. They had some guys get drafted into the NFL, and anytime you see a team, yeah, exactly, and it's a very run heavy program. So anytime you lose that aspect of it, it's tough. But a team that is probably not going to be able to stack up very well against Fresno State. I mean, Fresno State it feels like every few years it's like, oh, they got some sweet guys here. I remember the Derek Carr, Devontae Adams teams were, in terms of a Mountain West talent there, that's insane Mountain West talent. So, you see a really good team emerging there, and I definitely agree. I feel like they're the top dogs in the division, but like you guys said about San Diego State, it's rough when you lose a bunch of guys and you lose some of your, most important players for your scheme, for how you're going to really win ball games. Where I remember a few years ago they had a big upset against, I think it was they had a big upset against Stanford because they were able to run the football so well, and they just kind of run into a lucky win. You play good defense, you run the football well, but if you don't have quite the talent as some of these other teams, it's a little bit tough. And I know that I think the transfer you guys were talking about, his name Braxton Burmeister, not many. Not many attempts even in college football. So
yeah,
only a 55 completion percentage guy. And while their scheme's not super dependent on like elite quarterback play, it is a tough one. So I don't think they're going to have a chance. However, San Diego now, this is San Diego's football team. So hopefully we see the program kind of expand. They do have a new stadium, which is exciting stuff for San Diego State. Or not a new stadium, but it's their stadium now, and they redone it, did some stuff to it, and not Qualcomm anymore. But interesting stuff for San Diego State. I definitely agree with you guys. I think Fresno State is probably the best team. I would probably say Boise State's probably the second best team, but I don't know. Interesting if San Diego State
Air
can
Force
do anything.
could probably surprise. Like it feels like they surprise every year.
They're
Never
just a tough
expect them to be
matchup.
that good.
The
That's
service
dude.
academies are. I mean, if I was a Power 5 team, don't call me Army, don't call me Navy, don't call me Air Force. I'm not answering the phone. I don't want it.
Exactly.
Don't bring that triple option to my house, and I don't want any of it. But with Fresno State's interesting too because they host Oregon State this year in a very weird Power 5 team visiting a Group of 5. Like that doesn't happen often, and they host on week 2. And I think Fresno State right now might be the favorite, in my opinion, for that game. And then they get USC. That could be a real test of that USC secondary with Cropper coming in there. And if everyone's healthy for Fresno State and they're coming off riding a 2-0 performance against Oregon State, I think they have UC Davis week 1, which should be a win. Man, Lincoln Riley better be ready because I don't think Fresno State's going to give it to them.
Yeah, the USC defense, like secondary wise, lost a lot of guys last year. So
yeah.
That'll be a very entertaining game. I know that the big San Diego State game is going to be Utah. I don't expect San Diego State to really hang in there. Utah's pretty sweet.
Utah's gonna be a really good squad.
Yeah, y'all should have got like Arizona or something, man. Y'all could have probably hung with Arizona.
Arizona's
but,
up and coming, man.
Hey, North Dakota State might put 40 on them this year. I don't think that's going to be a good look for them.
Offensively, they're coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably going to do it for this episode, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Fun to talk about college football. I haven't talked about it in quite some time. But gearing up for the season, getting excited for it. A lot of names discussed. Of course, I also had to talk a little bit about San Diego State as well. But thanks for hopping on, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Fun time. And we'll be talking college football, throughout this channel every once in a while. Probably not as much as the San Diego Padres and the NFL and stuff like that. But I mean, throughout the season, hopefully, we get some West Coast teams that look really good. A Utah is a prime candidate to do that, and we'll keep updating you guys on the San Diego State season as well. But thank you guys for coming on. A lot of fun, and we'll see all you guys very, very soon.